we'll address the concept of schedules. So schedules can be built within the Equinox interface. And I have actually built a couple of them. I'll show in just a moment how you build them, but I wanted to kind of give an idea of their use first. So in the executive boardroom, consider that this is not a real deterministic or predictable location in terms of the lighting needed and when it's going to be occupied. So probably during work hours, I would not be using a schedule to turn the lights on, but at the end of the day, I will use that schedule to turn the lights off. Now, in another room, such as an open office, maybe it's a little more predictable, and so the schedule there will want the lights to be turning on in the morning to a certain level, and then turning off, as is the case in the executive boardroom. So with that being said, let me go ahead and go and take a look at schedules. So under settings, schedules, we've created a couple. This is how you go and add one, but these are already created, so let's just go take a look at them. So let's start with the office hours, which is the probably more typical one where we have deterministic or predictable lighting patterns. So what we've done is we've given it a name, and the type is setting the level of the lights. Now if we go and edit it and take a look at what I've done is I've basically built a track that starts at 8 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday, and then not continuing to do anything Saturday or Sunday, assuming that this is business, 5 days a week, business open. So 8 o'clock, we're having it come on to 7 o'clock, 70%, excuse me, as you can see, every day, Monday through Friday. That track continues until the next track, and that next track then that was created starts at 5:30 p.m. and turns the lights off. And we're having that run every day, regardless of whether it's a weekday or a weekend day. So I'm not going to add any more tracks, and if you don't add any more tracks, then this track actually continues on through the next day till the beginning of the first track. So 5:30 p.m. all the way through midnight and ending at 8 o'clock in the morning on the next day. And that's turning the lights off. So with that being said, let me go and take a look at the, well, let's go take a look at the other schedule while we're at it. The other schedule is for conference rooms, and in the conference room, rather than actually setting it to a specific level, I'm doing a hold. And so whatever happens then, we don't do anything to modify it. That's what a hold is. But the off that starts at 5, then just like in the other schedule, will continue on through midnight till the next morning, till 8 o'clock, till that track begins again. So the idea will be that those lights at the beginning of each track will operate according to the rule that is put here. So if we take a look at that, these are turning the lights off with a 10-second fade at 5 o'clock. And then what else will happen is that any changes that I make from this interface will only take effect for a certain amount of time in what we call override, and then that will return to the scheduled activity, and we'll see that in a minute here. But if we take a look at what a hold is, basically what we did is we take away this force, the schedule value, and that makes it be a hold. Okay. So with those schedules in place, if we go and take a look now in the open office, the lights here are on a schedule of office hours. It says that the current schedule is 70%, and at 5:30 it will change to where it'll turn the lights off. So that's when the end of this track occurs. Now what will happen is if we go in now and modify, so this is because of the schedule, this was set to 75%, 70%. If I go and modify that to something else, notice it comes up with this override and a little clock shows up here, clock icon, telling me that I am now in override. How long that is, it doesn't tell me here, but it tells me to come and check here. So if I come over here and look at schedules, it's a 1 hour hold is the default. I've already had a minute pass, we're at 59 minutes before it will then revert back to 70%. Now, we can change that if we have the authority to do this, and that goes with the permissions of the user, which we'll get to in a different video. But you can make that be by 1 hour increments all the way up to 6 hours. Now, do remember that regardless of whether we put 6 hours, if the upcoming schedule is less than, or sorry, happens before what we put as our holding time, then the upcoming schedule will trump that, and that's when it will change regardless of what we might put here as a holding. Now, if I go into the executive boardroom, by contrast, take a look at one of the loads there, we'll see that it is on the conference room schedule, current as a hold. So if I make any changes to it, to that lighting level, there's no hold, there's never having anything during the day that will change that back to a specific level because of the track being a hold. Up until 5 o'clock when the next track happens, and then the lights will turn off.